Every day I have a new opportunity to introduce my inner critic to my inner coach. Just yesterday I moved into a new apartment here in Da Nang, one of my favorite places to be in the world. And everything went incredibly smoothly until I turned up at the apartment and got ready to pay the deposit for the apartment. I handed over the money and the landlord looked at me quizzically saying, "Where's the rest?" I said, "Oh, that's the amount for the month." And she said, "But you need to pay for the first month plus an additional month's deposit." Now, of course, that's so standard. The landlord had already laid that out to me and told me that's what I needed to pay. But somehow on the day I got so wrapped up in the wonderfulness of Da Nang, probably having a very relaxed start to my day, didn't help. But I just caught myself in that moment thinking, "Jason, you're so stupid," in a voice. And I took the opportunity almost immediately, as soon as I heard myself say that, to respond and say, "Jason, you're not stupid. You're actually incredibly smart. You've designed a life that you love and adds to your happiness. And sometimes you get very focused on the big picture, so much so that you miss the detail." And this was just an example, a very, very small example of a moment where I said some very unkind words to myself, something I would never say to a friend or somebody I cared about. But somehow in that moment, I think it's appropriate to speak to myself that way. And it's not. And I think there's an opportunity for me and perhaps for you to show ourselves the love and support that we would show a best friend. Because if we wouldn't treat or speak to a friend that way, then why would we choose to speak to ourselves that way? Now, as I mentioned, I'm in Da Nang, which is a delightfully wonderful place. Today's a little bit cloudy, but it still doesn't take away from the magic of Da Nang, neither the cloud or the crazy traffic. So my apartment is about a 5-minute walk to the beach. In fact, I'm almost at the beach now. And part of my happiness, regardless of whether the sun is shining or not, is just to take a morning walk along the beach, find a cute little beach cafe and enjoy a coconut water or a coffee. One of the other delightful things about Da Nang is there's always a lot of noise. So if you're planning on coming here and spending some time, you have to be fairly careful about where you choose your apartment, because there's a lot of construction generally popping up around the city just because it's developing and growing so quickly. It's getting a lot of interest from tourism and digital nomads and expats alike. So I'm just about to cross at a junction. Now, what's always very interesting about Da Nang is, although there is a zebra crossing, as we'd call it in the UK, traffic still doesn't stop. I mean, essentially, when there is a red light for traffic, it means slow down and try not to kill anybody. It doesn't mean stop. But the great thing about the traffic here is it's relatively slow and steady. So they're not zipping around at 100 miles an hour, causing potential harm to unsuspecting tourists like me. So I've crossed the road. I've managed to do it with my life intact. And now at my favorite part of Da Nang, which is the beach. I always start my day, regardless of whether the sun is out or not, with a swim, because that also adds to my happiness. And I really think it's those small things that we do for ourselves every day, and the way that we treat ourselves and the compassion that we have for ourselves, that makes a big difference to the happiness that we create for ourselves and others each day.